There was this one time when I told my therapist that we discover new versions of love with every new partner. That with every breakup we learn a better way for us to be loved. And now all I wish is that I could walk back into her office, kick open the door, grab her by both shoulders and tell her that it was the dumbest shit I've ever said. Because the first day that I discovered true love, I was sipping a margarita out of a martini glass, sitting with some of my closest friends at a private lounge dimly lit by simpler times, watching a man sing about a sadness he wasn't alive for. It was my birthday. And I remember there was a woman sitting next to me looking like the second between 11:59 and midnight right before yesterday becomes tomorrow, and she had this smile on her face. And the only way I can describe it is that she smiled like she knew me, not like how people know me, more like how my front door knows me, or my curtains know me. And for a time, I lived my life by that smile. And I could come up with maybe 11 different ways to describe her eyes, her hair, her legs, her shoulders, in the kind of way that only a man who's traced every inch of you could. But this is a poem about love, and if you think love is about any of those things, then you've never really found it. Because the love in this story wasn't in her dress, or her smile, or her body, it was in the martini glass. The room we were in, the people at the table, the man singing my new favorite songs, even in the sound of the piano, cascading right into that first chord that sounded something like, I love you in a place where there's no space or time. That is where the love was, and she gave it to me that day. All of the things that she knew brought me joy simply because I had told her a couple of times. And I remember that sometime before I passed out in a drunken stupor, I had finally said, I love you, to her, adding her to the list above bass lines that riddle me in goosebumps because she knew how to pluck me into symphony. Now, I'm not sure what she thought of those words in my questionably disorderly state, but I don't think I've ever meant the words more than that day. And I wondered if I had gotten the rest of the lyrics out before I fell asleep. So imagine my surprise when I awake to storm clouds over our smiles, thunder rolling over our timeline, sounding a lot like the last breath of dying relatives and the hollow echo of empty pockets. I learned what it looked like to watch lightning strike over the course of months. I could only sit in horror as tragedy scraped Lichtenberg scars into our skin, staining our strings until dissonance was all they could sing, and I, being autistic, could hear 1,000 screams between our notes that no longer sung our melody, which is why, when I gripped my ears in agony, she could only wonder how I could be deafened by the silence that grew between us to everyone else, even her. It almost seemed like nothing. I mean, what's new about a storm? Our song still plays the same, right? What she didn't know is these clouds had introduced themselves to me before, and their winds have already taken love from me, so I know that the next bolt thrown will look like misplaced resentment from someone she can't afford to have hurt her. And sometimes, I'm afraid to admit this, but sometimes all it takes is for me to take a step back, trip over my own shoelace, and realize that I've been focused on the chaos of the smallest brushstroke and can finally see in free fall the beauty of what we painted. I hope when I finally hit the ground that this time I'll get a chance to see the martini glass in the storm.
Yeah.